Hi there, this is Chris Beasley with Southport Magazine TV. Today we're in the home of my mother-in-law, Miss June Beasley, and we're going to learn how to fry some okra. Very excited about this. Don't be scared by this little pot because it's very yummy, and we're going to learn from the master today how to cook it. All right, June, so we've got some okra already cut up, but let's show people how to do it.
Well, first of all, you wash it, of course, because it comes most of the time fresh from the garden, hopefully. But anyway, you would wash it, and then you would take your knife, and don't know if you can see it or not, but there's a little brown ring around this top. Personally, I cut that off. I have seen it cooked with that on, but it's tough. So I would cut right under or right on that little brown streak, which I didn't do a very good job there. And I cut the tip end off, where there's usually a little brown dot. So this is ready to cut up in about 1/4 to 1/2 inch. It really doesn't matter as far as cooking. But I find that works well for me, and we have a pan already cut up here, and so I would just cut it up, put it in the pan.
And now, sometimes it gets slimy, but you shouldn't be afraid of that, should you? It's just the nature of the vegetable.
That's okra. It is slimy. When you cook it, most of the slime will dissolve.
I know it makes it sound very appealing.
Yeah,
it's slimy,
yeah,
but it's really good.
It's good. I say dissolve, but it will go away as it cooks.
Okay.
And so you cut it up in those rounds. And I like to use a pan about this size. And you can use olive oil, you can use canola oil, any vegetable, any kind of oil will do. And in this kind of pan, you should turn it on and let it start heating. On about a medium temperature.
Okay.
And then I don't bread mine. I have done that, and it's good if you like that. But I like to just saute it in oil, and of course salt and pepper to taste. I have some olive oil, which like I said, this is fine. But if you don't, and I would just sort of give it a squeeze, just to cover the bottom of the pan.
Maybe like 1/4 of a cup.
Maybe, yeah. But if you can see that, you don't want it too greasy, but you have to have enough grease that it does not stick to the bottom of the pan.
Mm-hmm. And then like the edges of the little pieces of okra, they get a little crispy, right?
They turn a little brown, which is the way I like it. It doesn't even have to do that. It doesn't even have to turn brown, but the browner it is, I find the less slimy it is to use that. Okay.
All right, so we've got the skillet hot and the oil's in there.
Right.
And now we're going to add the cut okra.
We're going to add it all at one time.
Okay.
Hold in. Now I'm going to use some salt and pepper.
Those are cute salt and pepper shakers. I wonder who gave those to you.
I think my daughter-in-law gave them to me. And I don't ever measure salt. I'll very seldom measure anything. But I'd say a teaspoon maybe, and then you can taste it to see if it's salty enough or not, and then you can adjust. And I'm going to let it sit for just a few minutes before I stir it too much, because like I said, we don't want to break it apart. I'm checking to see if it is ready to stir. And I don't know if you can see on the video, but you can see what we call slime cooking out of the okra, but it is not browning yet. So we're gonna, well, it is too. See, can you see that one right there? Mm-hmm. Okay, that means that I should stir it. Now you need to stir very gently, and I'm doing this with a wooden spoon. Of course, I have my rubber spatula handy also in case I have to do more than just a spoon at a time.
So it's been cooking about like 3 to 4 minutes.
Maybe, yes.
And you
maybe,
just check
yeah.
to see if it looks brown, and if it does, then you'll give it its first stir.
I'll give it its first stir and let it sit for 2 or 3 minutes more and do the same thing. Okay, so I'm going to check it again now. You can see those brown bits. Now, if it begins browning too fast, or it begins to look burned, you can, lower the heat. Sort of depends on your stove and how hot it gets. Now, because it sounds like it's beginning to really maybe get a little too brown, but that's fine. I mean, it will still be good. So I'm going to turn my heat down to about 3.
So once you make the first stir after the initial, 3 to 4 minutes of it cooking, you want to try to, about every 2 minutes, check it.
About every 2 minutes, check it.
Okay. And then you've got a little tip.
Yes, this is something that I learned from my mom. I don't know if everybody does this or not, but to soak up some of the slime, I put about and I use just plain, I don't know if you want to, plain yellow cornmeal. That's just what I prefer. And I'm going to put a teaspoon, maybe, of course I'll have to see if that looks like it's enough. Just sprinkle it about on the okra, top of the okra. And what that does is soaks up some of that slime. And the cornmeal will brown as the okra does, and you won't even know it's there. Now I'm just going to try to kind of stir that in. It takes a while to cook okra the way I like it, and it's easy to overcook it also, so you have to really keep an eye on it from this point on, so that it doesn't burn, because you'll think it's not quite brown enough, and you'll cook it a little longer, and then all of a sudden it's too brown. So keep an eye on it from here on out.
In general terms, would you say from start to finish it takes about 20-25 minutes, or?
Yes, I would think so. Okay, I'll check it again. See how it's doing since I added the oil and the flour. You can still see some slime in it, so. This is one of my favorite things. When I was growing up, we would have speckled butter beans and field peas and fried okra and sliced tomato and cucumbers and sometimes corn if it hadn't already finished, And there's nothing better than a good country meal of fresh vegetables.
So the okra's been cooking for about 25 to 30 minutes now. And June, is it ready?
It's ready, and if you look, you can see that the slime is gone. It's not there. I mean, there might be just a tiny bit, but you don't want to cook it any more than this because you don't want it to burn.
So now we're at my favorite part of the segment, when we get to eat what we've cooked. So we're eating the okra that June has just fixed, and it is no longer slimy. It's quite delicious. The edges of each little pod of okra are crispy. It's got just enough salt, and June sliced a tomato to go along with it because that's what she had when she was growing up. What do you think, June? Is it good?
It's good.
I'm not sure what to tell people it tastes like.
I don't know how to describe it either. I was almost thinking maybe sort of a nutty flavor, but I'm not sure that describes it either. So you're just going to have to try it.
And please, try some okra. And the best place to buy it is at a roadside vegetable stand. And remember, don't buy too big a pod. But give it a go. Really try it. I never knew what okra was until I moved to the South, and now I love it. This is Chris Beasley for Southport Magazine. Have a great day.